Major outlet predicts wild, let me say delusional outcome for the Cincinnati Bengals following the 2025 season. Welcome back to another episode of Bengals Digest. I'm Carson Lokey. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing day. And there are a lot, well, let's say this. The media doesn't like to treat the Bengals fairly, in my opinion. They're always trying to attack the Bengals, let me not say us, but the Bengals in some type of bad light, or portray us in some type of bad light, or predict wrong things to happen for the Bengals. And that might just be my opinion, but I feel that's what it is. But this latest report from CBS predicts something I think is so delusional when you think about it. And let me say this. I understand their viewpoint. Yes, I'm watching the Reds again. Go Reds. I'm a true Cincinnatian. But anyways, I could see where they're coming from with this prediction. But if you knew the Bengals, if you actually sat down and thought about the Cincinnati Bengals for at least a split second, it would be delusional to even predict this to happen unless something absolutely insane happens. Literally absolutely insane. There's no way I see this unless something like the worst thing that could happen happens, which is the Bengals win maybe 2 or 3 games. And this report backs me up as well. But let me jump right into it. It's obviously about Zac Taylor. Zac Taylor started with the Bengals in 2019. That was not his first coaching role, but his first time ever being a head coach in the NFL. His first time being a head coach came in the NFL. And this started with a new wave of hiring young guys in the NFL instead of going after veteran guys, which obviously happened from McVay, which obviously Taylor comes from that tree. But I think because of this new system, because he was hired by the Bengals, what they're predicting, it makes no sense to me. Let me jump right into it. CBS Sports predicts Cincinnati Bengals fire Zac Taylor after the 2025 season. And maybe from a fan perspective, this makes sense. And once again, I can understand where they're coming from, but to me it makes absolutely no sense. Let me read the report, then I'll give my breakdown on why I think it's delusional. CBS Sports doesn't see Zac Taylor making it to the 2026 season as Bengals head coach. Taylor ranked Taylor third on the list of NFL coaches under most pressure to win this fall and has him getting fired following the 2025 season. Taylor has been head coach, like I said, since 2019. This is Tyler talking about it. Tyler Sullivan. I don't know why I never said his last name. This is what Tyler Sullivan had to say. Taylor will need to get the Bengals back into the playoffs to keep his job. I agree with the fact that he needs to get the Bengals back into the playoffs, but I don't think that determines if he keeps his job or not. And it's a no sure thing he'll be able to do that. On top of playing in the division with the Baltimore Ravens and the new-look Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, I think at the helm, I think that's going to be an overblown story this entire AFC North season and just NFL season. The Cincinnati defense has major questions, of course. The team is currently embroiled in contract spats with pass rushers Trey Hendrickson and rookie Shamar Stewart. Obviously, you guys know my opinion on it. I think both sides in both situations are handling it wrong. Hendrickson's situation could ultimately lead to a trade. I think that's not going to happen, which would make a defense that allowed 25.5 points per game, tied for the 5th highest in the NFL, even worse. Not saying I disagree with what he's saying, but I disagree with the prediction. This is him continuing, Sullivan, and the offense may not be able to bail them out either. Last season, the Bengals lost 6 games despite the offense scoring 25 points. They also lost 2 games despite a 38-point output from the offense. All of that doesn't exactly bode well for Taylor in what feels like a make-or-break season. Now, once again, let me say this. I agree with what he's saying, but I disagree with where he is taking his prediction to Taylor, Zac Taylor getting fired. I agree with all that he's saying. This is a make-or-break season, not for Zac Taylor, but for the Bengals. I think this next season shows really if the Bengals are still in the window to win the Super Bowl or not. And yes, you can make the argument as long as they have Joe Burrow, they're in that window. But I think this next season is kind of the defining season for them if that window is open like this or like this. And like this would mean you're solely relying on the fact that Joe Burrow is going to lead you to the Super Bowl all by himself. Obviously, he'll have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins for a long time, and the offense is obviously going to be really, really good for a long, long time. But the Bengals in general, especially the defense, I think it's a make-or-break season for the Bengals, or this is one of the most important seasons for the Bengals, not specifically for Zac Taylor. And why that is, and this is also, let me finish the report, then break down why I say that. Taylor getting canned after this season would be truly shocking outside of a 4-win or fewer finish, like I said. Cincinnati has historically given long leashes to its head coaches, and Taylor is arguably the most successful one they've ever had. He's under contract through the 2026 season. Check out Sullivan's full thoughts here. You can go check out the report. This was posted on Cincinnati Bengals Sports Illustrated if you want to go look at Sullivan's full report. But with the fact, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe any other team in the NFL, if Zac Taylor doesn't get the Bengals to a playoff this season, they would fire him. But since it's the Bengals and since it's Mike Brown still operating the Bengals, there's no way Zac Taylor gets fired. No way. He's been the head coach since 2019. This is still, like I said, his first head coaching job in the NFL. And in his third season, yes, I think, third or fourth season, early in his career, he led the Bengals. You can say it was Joe Burrow who led the Bengals, but he led the Bengals to a Super Bowl. Their first Super Bowl appearance in decades, and they almost won and really should have won. And then the next season, what did they do? They made it all the way to the AFC Championship game and lost. Not badly. Once again, they should have won. They were in the position to win. And then, obviously, the last two seasons been back-to-back 9-8 seasons, not making the playoffs. Yes. But because of historic view of the Bengals and Mike Brown, look how long Marvin Lewis was the head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. Did he ever win a playoff game? One time? No. But he consistently made the playoffs, so the Bengals and Mike Brown, specifically, was going to give him the reins because all they wanted was to make the playoffs. Zac Taylor did more than that. He made the playoffs, won in the playoffs, has a winning record in the playoffs, and actually led them to a Super Bowl. Once again, the first time in decades for the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike Brown is not going to let Zac Taylor go anywhere. And this last offseason proved it. Mike Brown gave Zac Taylor full reins on what he wanted to do with a coaching staff. And let me say this. I don't think we should fire Zac Taylor. Last season, a lot of the narrative from Bengals fans was fire Zac Taylor in season. And especially once the offseason started, it was let go of Zac Taylor. I'm not in that boat. I like Zac Taylor. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a great offensive mind. Now, obviously, that defense hasn't been there, but he still led us to the Super Bowl. He took us to the AFC Championship. All of that is true. And I think because of that and because of how dominant our offense was, we weren't paying enough attention to our defense, which should have been. Because go look back on the Super Bowl year and the AFC Championship year. Our defenses were not good. Yes, we had good and great players and elite players on those defenses that are no longer there, but our defenses were still, in the entirety of the NFL, very, very mid. And the defense was being overlooked. And Zac Taylor, being a young, inexperienced coach, not saying I'm an experienced coach, but if something is working, why try to fix it if it's already working, if that makes sense? So let's do what we're doing, and we're going to keep doing, or we're going to keep getting to where we want to get to if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing. But they were overlooking the defense. They were so reliant on Joe Burrow and the offense, and it was working. The fact that we went to the Super Bowl, the next year we were one game away from the Super Bowl, why change anything? So that's what happened. We didn't change anything. Lou stayed the defensive coordinator. The same players on defense stayed as the starters. And then the last two seasons happened where we go 9-8 and don't make the playoffs because of our defense. Not one season or one game has the offense been the reason we've lost the game. Maybe last year, week 1, when the offense started slow. And once again, that's another thing Zac Taylor has to figure out, is starting fast. But once again, this is still his first head coaching job in the NFL, period. It's going to take him a while. It doesn't take 1 or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years to figure out everything you need to figure out in the NFL as a coach, especially when you're in a division like the AFC North. Especially with the AFC North. Just think about it. He's a first-time head coach in the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals and one of the divisions that has the longest tenured coaches. It's going to take him a while to figure everything out. And I think now this offseason proves that he's trying to. He's focusing more on the defense than ever with the coaching staff. And I don't think he's going to take over the defensive mindset. I think he's giving that all out golden, which should be the case. But there's no reason to fire him. Absolutely no reason to fire. I'm an Ohio State fan. Let me give this from a perspective of an Ohio State fan. Ryan Day, this is his first head coaching job in college football with one of the most prominent programs in college football history, the Ohio State Buckeyes. This was this last season, his 6th year as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. What did he do? Won the national championship. The 6 years leading up to that, every year, every fan at one point was saying to fire him. It takes a while for head coaches to get a grip, to take over a program or a franchise, to mesh well with their coaching staff, to move around coaching staffs until it's the perfect fit where they can do what they ultimately want to do, which is win for college, win the national championship, but for NFL, win the Super Bowl. Zac Taylor is still in that boat like Ryan Day was this past year. Ryan Day had to get over that hump of inexperience and go through the learning curves, which obviously is going to mean losing big games, losing in the playoffs, losing a national championship. Zac Taylor's done that already. He's gone through the experience of getting to the playoff. He knows what it takes to make it to the playoffs. He knows what it takes to make it to the Super Bowl. He knows what it takes even to make it to the AFC Championship. He knows what it takes to win the AFC North, which is the hardest division to win in the NFL. Zac Taylor is not going anywhere, and it is delusional to think that. Mike Brown will not get rid of the coach who drafted Joe Burrow, who has made Joe Burrow to what he has been in the NFL so far, and he's not going to get rid of the coach that took his franchise to the Super Bowl in the first time in decades. And then the next year, go to the AFC North. Because of that Super Bowl and because of the AFC North championship appearance, Zac Taylor is good for probably the next decade. He will be signed again. He will get a longer contract, and he's going nowhere after this 2026 season. I think, yes, this is a make-or-break season for the Bengals in the fact of seeing where we are in that Super Bowl window, but I think Zac Taylor is out of the question. But let me know how you feel about it. I think that is pretty obviously what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do. I don't think Zac Taylor's going anywhere. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about the report from CBS and what you think about what I said about Zac Taylor going nowhere anytime soon. But don't forget to subscribe to the Bengals Digest channel. If you love the Bengals as much as me and my co-host Isaac, we're going to be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals every single day right here on the Bengals Digest channel. Like this video, comment down below again how you felt about this report and what I had to say. But for the Bengals Digest channel, I'm Carson Lokey. See you next time. Have an amazing day, and God bless.